Hey, so I'm gonna just fix some lights behind me. Let's change it to red because I just took an exam and I don't think I passed that one. Hey guys, welcome back to the vlog. If you're new here, my name is Marco. Anyway, I've been planning this video for quite some time, but then recently a couple of my friends showed me that they passed med schools, and I was like, oh, okay, you know what? Why not just go out with it? And hopefully just the next batch of applicants would find this any way, shape, or form useful. So pretty much this is going to talk about, my whole trajectory from college. So what are some factors that I think have helped in me being accepted into medical schools, and maybe some that would have not have helped. Yeah, anyway, brain's not really working right now, but push through. So the first thing I want to talk about is actually my grades. If you're a long time viewer of my vlogs, you would know I am not particularly smart. Not being pabebe, that is true. Going out of college, going out of Ateneo, I graduated with an average of a B. QPI average ko nun B, so around 3 to 335 I think yung range. Not entirely. I'm not even sure of the range. Basta ang alam ko, B yung standing ko going out. I wouldn't say that I was average, mainly because yung standard ng BS Biology was 2.5, which was a C+, because apparently BS Bio ng Ateneo, honored scores. I did not know that until like 3rd or 4th year. Even though I tried my best to really try to raise my grades to increase the chances of me being accepted into medical school in the last 2 years of my college life, they weren't enough. Mediocre grades, factor 1 into getting into med school. I've talked to a couple people and I've talked to a prof about this, and although it is a factor, I wouldn't say it's the only factor that they would look at. A little fun fact about me, I guess, is I actually took a minor in management. Yeah, and I find that story really funny because one, I don't think it's really common for bio people to take a minor in management. I got some looks back in Marketing 101 when people would ask, oh, what's your course? Everyone would be like, oh, this management, this school of management course. And I'd be like, bio. Then everyone would be like, why are you here, dude? Honestly, it's mostly out of interest, and I was already thinking of going to ASMPH. So I was thinking I wanted a minor in management to, one, pursue something that I'm actually interested in, and also to prepare myself for the MBA because I was taking finance, marketing. I did take a leadership course already, so I think it was a good preparation, and I think, in my opinion, it sounds pretty cool coming out of college with a BS Bio minor in management and then eventually going to a med school that will give you an MD, MBA. I don't know, it's pretty cool, but then would I recommend this route to get a minor? Only if you're interested and only if you can afford it. Honestly, it's pretty expensive to get a minor, I think. And yeah, I wouldn't recommend it if you don't actually like the minor you're taking. That's it. So second factor that I think helped me get into a med school is actually a semi-active org life. I only say semi-active because I was only really active 3rd year and 4th year. I dropped it entirely in 5th year because I wanted to relax in my last year in Ateneo. For the record, okay, I've said this many times before, don't join orgs to pump up your CV. Yes, it will look good, but I think the service and the acts you would do, okay, it might be variable. You can be good at it, you might not be, but then I guess just the overall feeling of being in the org won't be the same. People actually ask me sometimes if you need to be in a pre-med org to get into a med school. Honestly, no. I was more active in Ateneo Box. Ateneo Box isn't really the most pre-med centered org. They do have a bioeducation advocacy. It's more or less a very environment org, a very biology org. It is Ateneo Biological Organization. So it's a much more general advocacy. So my whole org life has centered around me trying to help with their advocacy and hanging out with friends. And in the end, I eventually actually became VP for finance for 2 years. And I was also part of the dance team. I was able to compete and stuff. So I found my passion and my liking for dancing. So if you would think if I only did it for the CV, it wouldn't be as fun. And yeah, experience wouldn't be as good. This aspect of your college journey is just to show that you're an all-around person and you can also do other things. You're a very diverse applicant. Would I say that you need an org life to get into med school? Not really. I don't think it really holds that much weight in the first place. So the third one, I think this is the most important one in my opinion, because I realized that one, my grades aren't all that good, and two, okay naman yung org life ko, not super heavy but okay lang, as in super sakto lang. I decided I needed to go heavy on NMAT. NMAT is the National Medical something. Marco, please put it here. In my head, it was one of the more important factors because at the tail end of my college life, I realized I wasn't doing very well academically, so I needed something other than orgs to really pull up my desirability as an applicant. So I tried my hardest to really get the highest NMAT I can get. So when NMAT season came up, I told myself I will dedicate a lot of time, a lot of effort into studying for the NMAT. Now at the time and until now, I don't know exactly what the weight that NMAT would hold in your application. So at the time, I just honestly aimed for the best, as in 99 plus yung aim ko and nothing lower. Well, 95. I think I mentioned in the previous video 95, but honestly, of course, 99 plus, you know, dream high. But then actually, eventually I realized that NMAT isn't really the whole you as an applicant. But honestly, if you don't get a really high NMAT score, that's perfectly fine. It doesn't really reflect you as an applicant in the first place. And one thing I realized that NMAT is honestly just a snapshot of you at the time of taking that exam. So a lot of things can change from you taking that exam to you applying to med schools. So if you don't get your goal, honestly, that's perfectly fine. You can always try again. You have 2 to 3 tries for NMAT. I think you can always roll with it and use your charm in interviews, grades, and try to apply. If not, you can always take it again. I know it feels like a lot is riding on it. I know I felt that before, but then being in med school now, NMAT doesn't really matter. As in, regardless of what you got, no NMAT, everyone is gonna be on the same plane on med school. So let's say you got your grades, you got your org life, you got your NMAT already, you're pretty much good, and you're already applying. So here is a quick list of the stuff that you might need to apply to a med school. So I only ever applied for ASMPH and UE. So these requirements depend on the school. I don't exactly remember which school needed which. So I'll just mention everything that I had to pass for. ASMPH and UE. First is the transcript of record, certificate of good moral character. Hopefully you're a good person. 2x2 pictures. Essay. I think sa ASMPH lang may essay. They do read this, so if you do write an essay, still do your best. Try to be straight to the point and don't be super bola. They can read through that shit, I'm sure. Both ASMPH and UE actually needed recommendation letters. Hopefully, throughout your stay in college, you actually made some relationships. I'm not saying be friends with profs for the sake of getting recommendation letters. I'm just hoping you do have relationships with profs that you could ask for a recommendation letter. They don't necessarily ask for strictly med-related profs. Honestly, as long as that prof knows you well enough to give you a letter of recommendation, perfectly fine. And the last thing is actually something that people never usually mention in these types of videos. Application fees. Dude, ang mahal ng application fees, as in sobra. Application fees it's either 3,000 per med school or 1,500 per med school. I just know may isang standard across all med schools, and then sa UP, half no standard na yun yung application fees. Next thing I had to go through, and you would need to go through if you wanted to get into a med school, is the med school interview. I want to make a really in-depth video about this, but then I missed the chance to do it because med school interviews were way back before. Only thing I would mention here is because I'm not really good at oral exams, it's a very good illusion that you think I'm pretty good at talking because I make YouTube videos, but when it comes to actual people, not really good. One thing I would say is I actually prepared a lot for my med school interview. As in, I read about the school, I read about myself, as in I read through my CV to know what I can mention. I read articles on how to be a good interviewee. Like everything I could do to prepare, I did it. Dude, I even practiced in front of a mirror. I even prepared my clothes, as in And the last thing, hopefully, after all that, you get accepted. The last thing you would need is to pass confirmation requirements. Now, this is something that I don't think people have talked about much also. And it's a pretty long list. I'm not sure what the requirements are for UE and other schools. I only know ASMPH because I only confirmed for ASMPH. Actually, I don't want to say everything. I'm gonna just write everything down here. Here's a short list of lab tests that you need to do. And not gonna lie, it's kind of expensive. I didn't realize how much it was at the time of reading the list, but then during hospital visits, I was like, yo. Anyway, that pretty much ends this whole thing. So those are pretty much all the things that I thought contributed to me being accepted into med school. This is not really a how to get accepted. It's more of a how I got accepted, because it's more on my perspective, really. You don't really have to follow my whole path, honestly. It's just a flow from college straight to med school. I know a lot of people right now, batchmates ko, that were working first and then apply to med school. So there are a lot of different factors that really come into play when it comes to getting accepted to the med school. So if you do have any questions about that, you can always comment down below your question, and hopefully I can help you with that. I can ask some of my friends and batchmates about it if ever it's something I'm not familiar with. And if you do have other comments, just comment down below. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It doesn't hurt. If you want to subscribe, there's a circle right here. Next video is up there and down there. So yeah, hopefully I see you guys in my next video. Peace. I don't know why I did the whoa.